Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of Love Misunderstood. I'm your host, Nicole Pacheco, along with our co-host, Nigel Kettle, who is a life coach and self-help author. Also with us today is Lanasha Prescott, our millennial extended guest. Our topic for today is how to find a partner and keep your relationship interesting. There is so much to cover on this topic that we had to break it into 3 parts. How to find a partner. Currently, I don't have a partner, so I'm on my way of trying to find one. And I think this episode is going to be really excellent for me personally because I don't have a partner. And of course, if you have a partner, don't you want to keep that partner? Don't you want to have a commonness with that partner? I don't know, Lanasha. What do you think?
100% agree. I also do not have a partner, so I guess we're in the same boat trying to find a
Hey.
partner. We can get into details later about how to actually find one. For me, as of right now, because I'm young, when I go out for drinks with my friends, go out for maybe like a lounge late at night or to a party, you do find people, you do find guys to talk to. But to say like it's going to be probably like a long-term relationship, yeah, not quite, because most men just get there just to have fun or just to have a good time, and they're not really looking for anything. So to really find a soulmate, like an actual partner, it really depends. It really depends. I know some of my friends have a Hinge, a Bumble. I've never downloaded any dating apps, so hey, but I've heard people have found their husbands on there. So it's not for me, but it is a possibility.
I totally see what you're saying. I've definitely tried that and no, thank you. Nigel, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. This topic is so important because I know so many single people who are searching for the right partner. This challenge is becoming increasingly more complicated, compounded by social media and online dating sites. Nonetheless, there are several things that you can do to up your chances of finding the right partner. In this episode, I will outline 9 steps to help you break the mold and increase your odds of landing a partner. First, we will begin with self-analysis. I want you to intentionally and with sincerity ask yourself, why am I still single? The easiest thing to do is to blame others, which we do. We blame the world, we blame men, we blame women. We do everything but point our fingers at ourselves. People are finding fulfilling relationships every day. Why are we not one of them? I would like you to consider this for a moment. Take the time to think about this deeply. Take the time to really ask yourself, why?
That's a good one. I like that. Why? Why am I single? Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm over here listening to you and I'm thinking, I've been single for a little while. Why have I been single for a little while? And what is up with me? I'm a pain in the behind. And at the end of the day, if we're going to start looking at relationships, we need to do this first. This is the easiest thing in the world. We can blame everybody and anybody why they do or don't like us, why they can or can't associate with us. But are we looking at ourselves? Can we stay in a room with ourselves with nothing on? No TV, no radio, no nothing. And listen, just stay in your thoughts. Can you do that?
So I agree with what you guys are saying in terms of needing to look within yourself to know whether or not you are ready for a relationship. Whether a person can sit in silence, whether a person is able to go on like a one-on-one date with themselves. What is it that they enjoy doing? I feel like all of these things, or where is it that where you guys are leading to, is how do I enjoy time alone by myself? Are there hobbies that I have that I look forward to doing by myself? And I feel like this is important because this is how you find yourself, right? You're finding your self-love, you're finding love within yourself. And the only way to actually love someone else is to love yourself first, to put that energy into yourself. And so that's step one. before anyone should go searching for a partner, to be honest.
Yes. Yes.
Because if you don't have that love inside of your soul somewhere, or if there's things about yourself that you don't like, of course you're going to struggle to find a partner. Of course you're going to be pointing fingers. Of course it's always going to be a problem. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit because I heard one of you guys say that, sometimes people look at other people and point fingers, uh, and say that, oh, they're not in a relationship because of other people. Some people make that choice for themselves to not be in a relationship, to not, they can search for someone to have a good time with if they want to, but really and truly, deep down inside, they don't want a relationship. They just want either a good time, or they're still probably working on themselves and, just not giving that energy to someone else. So I give a lot of shine to those people who are able to, say, hey, like, I don't want a relationship. I'm still working on myself. And like, I don't want to point fingers at anybody else. I want to make sure that I'm good, for my partner, etc. So I don't think it's all the time, it's someone else's fault why they don't want to be in a relationship, but more so themselves. I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if that's true.
So if you're interested in a relationship, right? If you're interested in finding a partner, so there's 10 main steps that, you should address first before you actually set out in this pursuit. And so the first one is to really think about it. Why am I single? And I usually recommend that, you spend quite a bit of time thinking about this carefully. Once you've thought about this and once you've come to some consensus as to why you're single, and when I say come to a consensus, I mean really, self-evaluate in terms of looking at your personality, looking at your flaws and saying, okay, when I meet somebody, why aren't they more interested in me? Why don't they want to make me a husband or a wife or something like that, right? If that's the kind of relationship you're looking for. The second thing is, it's what you just touched upon, Lanasha. Am I ready for a relationship? And if the answer is yes, what kind of relationship am I ready for?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, it's in this world, it's, there's so many different people, and in this modern age, the parameters for relationship is no longer where a man marry a woman. It's so wide now. So, as an individual, you have to come to grips with yourself, and it doesn't matter, what it is that you want, but you have to know what you want. So if you're gay, then just, come to grips with it, accept who you are, and, proceed. If you're interested in a, monogamous relationship, then this is what you're looking for. If you're interested in an open relationship, which is,
like a poly.
Yeah, except an open relationship. The difference between, like, say, a poly and say an open relationship is that in the open relationship, it's more like, you're in a relationship with one person and you love this, whether it's your wife or your husband, but you're allowed to have these little fears that, they are not deep relationships. They're mostly based on, your sexual needs.
Sex.
Whereas in a poly, a polyamorous relationship, what you're actually looking for, with all these people, like, let's say you have 3 different, wives or husbands, but these are all deep relationships that you have with each of them.
Oh, okay.
So that is something, but the point I'm making is just make sure you know what exactly it is that you're looking for. Come to grips with that first, because what happened is, I know people that are actually, I've had friends that were actually gay, and they've spent most of their lives trying to live a straight life. And what happens is that they were just completely miserable. So, of course, they engage in all these unfulfilling relationships, and they keep moving from one to the other, trying to find, love and happiness. But, it's just not who you are. So, one of the most important thing is to know who you are first. That is one of the most important steps. Know what you're looking for, know what kind of relationship you want, and then set out to pursue that. The third thing is, and you touched on this still, Anasha, am I comfortable with myself? And this may sound like a simple thing, but in talking to a lot of people, you find that most people, believe it or not, are not comfortable with who they are. Most people are not satisfied with how they look, how they speak, how they represent themselves. It's like, what I recommend that, if to get a better understanding of the world, and most of us just go through the world and we, interact with people, but we never really take the time to fully listen and observe, people's behavior, which is pretty, crucial. If you want to understand, people in general, take a little bit more time, like just paying attention to how they react, what they say, and the things that they do, and go beyond the superficial, go a little bit deeper. But once you do that, you'll find that most people are they're not comfortable with who they are. And I'm not talking about, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, my forehead is a little bit big here. Of course, all of us have imperfections, and all of us at times, we feel that, man, I wish I was a little more handsome, a little more attractive, a little more this, a little more ass, a little more, a little more boobs, all these things, a little more abs, a little more muscles, so we all think about, my gut wasn't so big, as my wife has just pointed out. So all of us have these little things that we would like to improve on, and that's okay, because that's just a human thing. It's not okay when you actually, allow these things to actually bury you or get you down, because then you're defeating, the whole purpose of your being, where you're actually like, too focused on these negative, points. And, as the way energy works is the more you focus on something, the more energy you give to something, the more it actually feeds it back to you.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you think that, you're unattractive, then that's the energy that you're actually feeding out in the universe. So that's the way the universe sees you. Yep. So if you want to change the way people see you, then start looking at yourself as being attractive. Now, I do something that, I look in the mirror every day and I kiss myself.
Hey, that's good. I should start doing that. Really? What do you look in the mirror and just blah?
Yeah. And I'm like, and I say stuff like, you handsome devil.
I love that for you. Self-affirmations. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Now, this sounds like,
this is good.
It sounds like something superficial. But what it does is that it builds self-confidence. By you affirming that to yourself every day, that's the energy that you're putting out there.
Oh, yeah.
And that is important. That, the energy you feed out to the universe is so important. And that is what, those are the kinds of things, the attitudes that we need to change. So many things to cover today. We're not going to be able to cover all these things.
Well, everything that you say, I agree with so far, because I'm doing that myself. I was in a 15-year marriage, and after that 15-year marriage, and I'm an empty nester now, it's like, wait a minute, I have no excuse on not doing what I need to do for myself. So that's why I said this, because this is what I do all day, every day. I reflect on the life that I've lived and moving forward on the life that I would like to have, the relationship that I would like to have, the people that I would like to have in my life. So I totally agree with what you're saying, Nigel, because if we don't do this, everyone else is going to do this. You know what I mean? What do you think, Lanasha?
Well, that makes perfect sense. I've just seen it with my own eyes with some of my friends where they are struggling with self-love. And it's sad to see. And I encourage them, to like do things by themselves. Like not everything you need to have company with. Like go to the gym, go take yourself out on a date, go read a book. Like all of these things are just key to, and especially at the age that I'm at 28, like this is the core time for me to like
Yep.
really understand who I am as a person.
Mhm.
And from now until probably like early 30s ish. So, I would say from now until then, yes, we're constantly changing, but like at that age, I think I'm going to just like stop. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to be that person, period, from then all the way up until I die. So that's why like it's important to really like foster in, as you said, like self-care and self-love and all of these different things. It's important so that it can really just build your character for the future. So yeah, like we're all on the same page here.
I have one thing that if I can come in and say, never stop. Evolution does not stop. Evolution continues and goes. And if you think you're going to get to a point of, okay, I'm 28 and by 32, I'm going to be like this and I don't have to change ever again, you just screwed yourself because you're going
Oh,
to constantly change. Even in a relationship, you could be in, like I said, I was in a marriage of 15 years. Who I was when I first met that man to who I became when I divorced that man is not the same, Nicole. Let's be very clear on that. I'm sure that everybody that's listening to us right now can say, hold on, let's just take a minute. Who was I a year ago, just 1 year ago from today? Who was I? You're not the same person that was 55 years before that, 10 years before that, and so on and so forth. So please don't put yourself in that box because you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to feel like you let yourself down because you became all this ideation that you have in your mind. Be free with who you are and just accept it. If I've learned anything, it's that.
thank you.
Yeah. The fourth step here in this journey of finding the right partner is when you meet someone and you start to interact with them, are you representing the authentic you?
Most of the time, no.
I know we touched on this on the previous episode. Most people don't represent their true authentic self.
Oh, yeah.
When you're dating, just be your authentic self. And when I say be your authentic self, I mean just be who you are. Let this person fall in love with you, not some version of yourself that you're projecting, or some idealistic version of yourself.
That makes total sense. I was just thinking, like, I need to be my true self because when I have not been I have not been my authentic self. When you first meet someone, you're like hee and whatever they want and all that other bull crap. And then time passes by. They call the honeymoon stage. After 6 to 9 months, now you're really getting to meet the person who they truly really are because they become comfortable and show their true self. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's a whole other conversation. But being your authentic self, you hit it right on the nail. Just be your authentic self from the get-go. I have dated, I have had situationships, I've had it all. And I'll tell you something right now. For all the dating and all the situationships, I realized I was not my authentic self from day one. I was who I thought they needed me to be.
Mm-hmm.
I did everything, said everything, looked every way that I possibly can to make sure that it appeased them, not appeasing myself. And I'm realizing now within what you're saying, Nigel, thank you for saying this. This is really good information, actually. What he is saying is be who you are because who you are will shine. And when you shine, the real person that should be in your life will be in your life. So you end up weeding out the mess that you don't need to have. Because that's what it sounds like to me. What do you think, Lenarsha?
No, I think it's always best to show up as yourself. It's going to come out eventually, right? Like the same way how a turtle will come out of his shell eventually. It's going to happen.
Good analogy.
Yeah. And for me, like, it's hard for me to be fake, right? So I always come up as my true self. I always try to be as authentic as possible. And whether someone likes that or whether they don't, like, that's up to them. But as you said, it's easier to weed out whether it's friends, whether it's a partner, whatever the case may be. Like, it's just easier to, find the people who are for you when you do show up as yourself. So yeah, I think that's the best way, the realist way. And people would appreciate that. The people who are showing up as their authentic self as well would appreciate you showing up as your authentic self as well.
Very true.
Right. And be aware that, when you're dating somebody, that they may not be showing you their true selves either. Once you've come to terms with that, once you've recognized that, it's in your best interest to make that person as comfortable as possible so that they can relax and be who they truly are. So most of the time when we're on a date, we're trying to impress this person because and we're so eager for them to fall in love with us that we're projecting an image that is not true. My fifth step here, when you're dating somebody, ask yourself this: am I accepting this person the way they are? Or do I want to bend them to my will?
That's good.
Because most people are actually, believe it or not, you meet somebody and they're not the perfect person, but we go into this relationship thinking that we're going to bend them, we're going to change them. And this is one of the common, misconceptions that we have, is that we can actually change people. Now, changing people, that's very hard to do. And most times there's a 99.9% chance that you're going to fail. The most important thing is to recognize, this person's flaws, accept that they exist, and accept that you are also bringing your flaws and baggage into this relationship. And the important question to ask here is, knowing what I know, can I accept this person the way they are? And if the answer is no, move on. If the answer is yes, then continue.
You got a point there. I'm over here thinking about all the dates I've been on to, all the fakeness I've done just to impress and just to be liked and just to be wanted and just to be needed and all this other hoopla. And I'm not saying here that I'm a fake person. No, I'm saying that I've done what I thought I needed to do to capture that person and keep them. Not realizing who that person really was. Like I said, I'm a divorcee. I'm in my mid-40s. I've done plenty of things. I've dated plenty of type of men. Let's just be very clear. Type of men. And because nowadays, come on, we got to be clear. And bottom line is this. I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. You hit it on the head when you said, when we're looking at someone, to giving them that opportunity to show you who they truly are and making it comfortable for them to be who they are. I'm here sitting and thinking myself, have I ever felt comfortable enough to show my true self? No. And I feel that way because now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight, I don't think they were their true self to make me feel comfortable enough to be my true self. I'm not blaming anyone here. I think as a Gen Xer too, we are very much survivors and we do as we saw, not what we were taught, because many of us weren't taught anything. We just did what we had to do to survive. And I think if I could be honest, just reflecting on my own relationships and as a Gen Xer, I was in relationships to survive. I wasn't in a relationship to be in a relationship, to be with that person, to show them my true self because, oh my God, if I show somebody my true self, what are they going to think? You know what I mean? If that even makes sense. Lanarsha, your generation is totally different from our generation. How are you guys dealing with things like this? If we could close it off.
Sorry, I'm just curious to know, what do you mean by you were in a relationship to survive? What does that mean?
Sometimes you don't want to be alone. Our parents were so busy taking care of making sure that there was food in the house, the lights were turned on, the bills, mortgage, rent was paid, that they forgot to be parents. They forgot to be humans. They forgot to be husband and wife or even boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever circumstances was it then. So we end up reflecting what we saw. We are creatures of our environment. And in saying this, I'm realizing now, because of the amazing things that Nigel's saying right now, it's like, whoa, he has a point here. I never did this. I was too busy doing this. I wasn't even pointed at anybody directly. I was just, can I find some guidance? I didn't have guidance. I didn't have a know-how. I didn't see this is the way it could be. My thing is, I'm realizing now that I was too busy people pleasing, because when you are a child of a Generation X, all you do is people please because nobody taught us what to do and how to do and when to do and all that stuff. We just figured it out on our own, which is why we made so many mistakes. And I made a ton of mistakes in my relationship. Right now, my ex-husband and I, we can actually go out and have a meal together. Not a date, just having a conversation. But for your generation, I don't know if you're going to understand how this even makes sense to us. I think that's why sometimes our generations don't understand each other. So I hope that answered your question.
It did answer my question. Thank you for clarifying that about survival mode. I feel like today, with my generation, because of the pervasiveness of mental health and taking care of yourself and self-care, I think it really depends on what a person is looking for and really wants. So in your generation, yes, you guys were looking for a partner to survive. Whereas for us, we don't necessarily need a partner to survive. It'll be fun, it's cool, but I also have my friends who I can survive off of. I also have yoga classes that I can survive off of.
Yeah, girl.
You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of different avenues now that has opened up for us, for my generation, where we don't have to necessarily seek survival off of a partner. We can survive in a lot of different ways. That's different from what you guys had to go through. And very much, I guess, appreciative for that. But you still do have the people where they're insecure and they feel like I need this person to survive, or I need a person in order to survive. Like I cannot see myself being alone. And there are people like that, right? But I don't think it's I think it's rare. I think it's rare.
In terms of the new generation, right? Are you saying that what the older generation or the generation before you wanted in a relationship is different from what the younger generation wants today?
Yeah. What do you guys want in your generation?
We want somebody that we can find companionship in. Somebody that's there for you, somebody that you can communicate with, somebody that you can be compassionate with. And I think the need is a human need. I think it's the same thing that we want in terms of whether it's today's generation or yesterday's or our generation. I think the human need is the same. I think the way we seek it may be a little bit different. I think today's generation is more into accepting less, where you, instead of finding something or someone that's completely committed to you, because that is a harder find today than it was, say years ago, when everybody had the mindset that what you're looking for is a committed relationship. In today's generation, I think it's more like fulfilling certain needs. And that is why I think today's generation tend to settle for less, not because they want less, but because that's what they can get.
With that being said, let's close down part 1 of this conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something. And I hope you understand love just a little bit more.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And yes, see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
Love misunderstood.